I've actually been feeling a lot better since last week. And I think it's because I'm getting ready to leave. Now, the truth of the matter is, I have to lay it all down in brass tacks, like just lay it all down. The truth of the matter is that even if that family left, the damage would have been done. It would have been a situation where it exposed how everybody really felt about racism. It would have exposed how everybody felt about ableism and, basically discriminating against somebody because of mental illness. Even if I stayed and that family left, the damage is done. The truth of the matter is that if I stay and they leave, then I'm the scary black woman that chased a young family out of their home. And if they leave, and if I leave, then I don't have to think about it anymore. I don't have to look at the same people who've been ableist towards me, who have been gossiping about me behind my back, like instead of just asking me what the problem is. I don't have to look at the same people who cared more about how they felt about racial slurs aimed towards me than how I felt. Who cared more about looking stupid than about how everything affected me. I don't want to have to look at these people anymore. Because the village that I'm staying in is a very small village. Word gets around, children talk. It's just too much. It's too much. Even if they left, and I stayed, it's not going to be the same after that. I'm still going to be the one who has to endure ableism from the rest of the community, who's going to have to endure racism from like small pockets of the community too. I'm the one who's going to have to endure it all. Like, why stay? It just doesn't make any sense. And I'm not saying that I don't want to take legal action, and I'm not saying that I don't want to pursue the route of getting compensated for what I've been through. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that when it gets to a level of ableism, I mean, the racism is one thing, but the ableism is pervasive. And once it's community-wide, that affects my life in a negative way. Do you understand what I mean? And I think I've been so blind all these years. All these years I've been so focused on people teasing me and calling me names that I didn't think of the bigger picture. If I was smart, I could have got compensation for ableism, for landlord ableism from as early as, 10 years ago? I could have got compensation from a lot of people for ableism. If I was smart, I could have got a lot of evidence in my corner for ableism. All the stuff that I've been through. People harassing me and then dismissing literal evidence in order to turn around and call me deluded and stuff like that. That's ableism. I could have easily made a case out of that, but I didn't, because I was just so focused on trying to maintain an image that I wasn't crazy, that I was somebody's child, that I am good enough. But now that I realize that I actually am good enough, it makes me realize, why didn't I just protect myself? Why didn't I just protect myself against ableism? Why didn't I just protect myself against racism? Why didn't I focus on that rather than on what people thought of me? Because what they think of me doesn't matter. What matters is the impact that slander has, and what noise disturbance has, and what all of these things have on my health, mentally and physically. That's what matters. It's not about what people say about me. It's about the effects on my health. And these same people that claim to care so much about my health, some of these same people that claim to care so much about my health, as soon as the time comes for me to talk about harassment, which can be easily proven, suddenly, no, they don't want to look at the evidence because of my illness. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? It's not about feelings, and and this nonsense is crowing again about me getting my feelings out. She's got her friends, I got my internet. Chill. Don't know why she don't just shut her trap anyway. Yeah, so the damage has been done. Even if they leave and I stay, the damage has been done. I didn't want to be homeless. I didn't want to have to live from place to place. But if it's going to be the case where every single community I go into, I'm going to have to face ableism, I'm going to have to face slander, I'm going to have to face harassment, I'm going to have to face people treating me like, marginalizing me all the time, then it's going to come to a point now where I'm just not going to focus on what people say anymore. And the only thing I'm going to focus on is the effect on my health and who has to take accountability for that. Now, I've said it before, but it was usually only in defense of what I was saying. This shit is entirely real. You can't just use mental illness as and when and put yourself above the law as and when. It's unacceptable, it's inhumane, and it's disgusting. So for me, it's just like, no. The ableism shit, no, we're killing all that. And I think that's why on some real stuff, the gang stalkers want me to leave the country. Because they know if I start talking about ableism here and racism here, and I start talking about community stalking here, let's leave gang stalking entirely out of the equation, just for 1 second. For 1 second, even if I was to leave gang stalking entirely out of the equation, there are disabled people who have been killed for being disabled. There are disabled people who have been slandered and put upon for being disabled. Like, just without that, there are people who have been killed for being my race. Now, I don't care what anybody thinks of my race, but I do care about the impact that it has on me. People like me have been killed just for being me. That shit is important. And when people are so careless with slander, so careless with somebody else's well-being, because their feelings are hurt, because they need to get it out of their system, fucked up. I'm not having it. And, they're still saying, okay, say it, it's fine. But it's just, for me, I have to focus on protecting myself. I'm focused on protecting myself. That's what's important. It's not about getting revenge on people. It's not about, I'm not denying I'm good at revenge. I've learned, I've grown, I've become more ruthless as a person. I'm good at revenge. I'm not saying I'm not, but this is so much more than that. This is so much more than that. This is about the impact that communities have on vulnerable people. And it can't go on like this. It cannot go on like this. It cannot go on like this. And like I said before, that family, they're not the only ones to blame. If they were, I wouldn't be leaving. I would have just stayed, and I would have said to myself, you know what, I'm going to get all the other neighbours, because all the other neighbours have complained about this family. All the other neighbours have complained about them. But hear what? On some real shit, most of the other neighbours here have harassed me. I can't go to them and say, look, we need to get these people out. We need to get these people. I can't say that because they've been guilty of that long before this family moved in. I can't do that. So I gotta leave. I can't stay here, man, because these people are untrustworthy. And everybody here has proved that even with everything going on with me, they care more about how it affects them and their sensibilities than it affects me. I've got to bounce. I can't be around people like that. And somebody's got to face some kind of consequence for everything that's gone on with me. Somebody's got to face some kind of consequence. You know, it's just one of those things where you have to consider all the factors that are in play. Like, it's not just about money and getting revenge and shit. Like, ain't nobody got time for that. It's about holding bigger companies and authorities accountable. They've got to be held accountable. It's not fair that somebody like me should go through all this repeatedly and nobody's facing any consequences for it. Doesn't make any sense. And even if I make a case and it gets thrown out, or if we have to send a message. This can't run. Don't go on and on about how only crazy people believe in conspiracy theories, and then when they bring evidence to you of literal harassment, you're going to ignore it, and then you're going to turn around and say that their mental illness is making up this evidence. The damage has been done. I got to leave. And it's going to continue. All of this is going to continue. It's going to continue, and as long as it does, I'm going to hold the people in charge accountable. Always. I have to admit, I do feel sorry for the nail bar, though. They literally had to close the door, and because they just don't want to hear the N-word anymore. Like, it's just getting to a point where they just don't want to hear it anymore, so they had to close the door and just try to ignore it. I feel for them, I really do, because they're not troubling, out of everybody, the nail bar, they're not troubling anyone. They're not troubling anyone. I mean, sure, they said stupid shit like here and there, but it's nowhere on this level, and of course they don't want to hear it. It's supposed to be a beauty bar where you come and relax, and you gotta hear that shit? Come on, man. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. So, yeah, this is not about money. This is about, like, people have to be held accountable for the shit they say and do, and they're not held accountable. They're not used to it. That's why we've got all these people crying and crowing about, oh, people are too sensitive. No, the things that you say and the reasons why you say it, it has an effect on how a person is treated, and that affects their health. Shut up. It's one thing if they're privileged enough to deal with it, if they're moneyed enough, and it still doesn't make it right. But if they're moneyed enough to deal with it, and they have enough of a loving support system, and that's one thing. But if somebody's vulnerable and they're on their own, and you continue to do that, no, accountability has to be held. This shit can't run. This shit can't run. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The thought of leaving this place, I have never felt happier in my life. Well, that's not true. Every time I leave a new situation, I feel happier. Because it keeps happening over and over again. And people know it's not me. I haven't spoken to myself the entire time I've been here. Like, everybody knows that I have a problem with maladaptive daydreaming and dissociation, and that I used to talk these things out loud. I haven't done that once since I've been here. It's been 6 months. I haven't done that once. And even when I didn't do that, I'm still getting this. I'm still getting spied on. I'm still getting gaslit. I'm still getting slurred. I'm still getting slandered. I'm still getting noise disturbance. Connect the dots. If I'm the common denominator in this thing, then why is it that even when I change my behavior and change the way that I do things, the same thing keeps happening over and over again? That just proves to you it's not me. The amount of changes that I've done over the years, don't get me wrong, I still rant. But the changes that have taken place in me as a person are evident. And yet you still got the same shit happening. You still got people being obsessed with me. You still got people, slandering me and all the rest of it. And you still got whole communities chatting shit about me at the very least. So, like, something has to give here. You know, at some point, reality has to set in and make you guys and make people realize it's not Fabian that's doing this. Like, at some point, reality has to set in. At some point. It's just easier to pin it on me because nobody wants to deal with it because the problem is too big. So it's just easier to pin it on me. Well, I'm not putting up with it anymore. I'm not putting up with it anymore. It's too much. It's too much. Got to fight back, man. And I don't like fighting. Like, I talk a lot of shit, but the truth of the matter is that I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to fight these people. I just don't want to do it anymore. Like, I don't want to fight nobody no more. On some real shit, I don't even care what these people have said. There's a deeper part of me that wants to just stop saying cruel shit to them. There's a part of me that just wants to stop saying cruel shit to and about these people. There's a part of me that just wants to stop going to war over this. There's a part of me that just wants to stop. Like, just stop. There's a part of me that keeps saying, like, just sue for peace, just sue for peace, just sue for peace. But the problem is that every time I do that, it's just another avenue to be narcissistically abused. So I can't even be the peaceful person that I want to be, because you know somebody's going to take advantage, because that's how it always happens. Somebody says sorry, they love bomb the crap out of you, and next thing you know, it's even worse than it would have been if you'd have just not spoken to them. So I can't sue for peace. I can't just let it go. I can't just relax and let people be. I can't do that, because then they're just going to take the piss all over again. And then who ends up being affected? Me. I don't want to fight. It's just constant fighting. It's just ridiculous. But I have to stand my ground. And if I don't do that, then people just keep, people come after me anyway. But at least if I wound them a little bit, like just a little bit, then they know I'm not the one to mess with. So yeah, this can't run. This really can't run. This shit can't run at all. And these people are still trying to minimize it. Just because we said the word Nick. It sounds so fucking stupid. They sound so stupid. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, they sound so stupid. Like, they sound so stupid. Like, it's just. Oh, I'm sorry. They sound ridiculous on some real shit. Like. So badass. I can't take it. I can't take it. Oh, Jesus. Oh, I can't take it, man. Oh. And they say it with such passion as well. I'm like, I'm sorry. It's like, that's what I mean. They're so traumatized by the fact that it doesn't get to me. Like, oh, Jesus. They're so traumatized by it. It's ridiculous. Like, oh, Jesus. Do you remember when I said to you guys that I'm scared of everything? And it's true. I'm a very, anxious, nervy, sensitive person. And I'm always trying, every time somebody says some nasty shit to me or does some nasty shit to me, I have one of two reactions. Either my reaction is delayed or non-existent, or I'm too quick with it, and I try to jump in and attack the other person back before I've had a chance to take stock of how I feel about the situation. And when that happens, it usually takes really extreme emotions to clarify things for me. Otherwise, I'm walking around guessing, second guessing. I'm a mess most of the time if I don't have extreme reactions to tell me exactly how I feel. And I guess that's why I usually look for anything that gives me an extreme reaction, like with the clothes I wear or with the music that I listen to. I look for that thing that just immediately grabs me, you know what I mean? Just grabs me. Otherwise, I feel like I don't know the truth about myself unless I have those intense experiences there. So if my experiences are middle of the road, normal, I'm constantly anxious because it's like I don't know how I feel or who I am, because I'm dealing with so many fleeting emotions and so many subtle emotions, right? So it's like I never really know how I feel until I'm in an extreme situation. It can make me doubt things I shouldn't even doubt. There was one experience where I thought I was a worse person than I was, and it literally took me trying to drown myself, and this was a few years ago. It literally took me trying to drown myself. It literally took me having my head being underwater before it really clicked exactly what was going on and exactly what had happened to me. It was only when I was close to death that something clicked inside my head. And it's the same thing when I'm extremely happy and like joy is just pouring out of me. That's another instance where everything becomes very, very clear. If I don't have those moments in my life, then who I am isn't clear. The thing about my granddaughter, it clarified who I was as a person. The thing about me going through that whole hip thing and, you know, the electronic torture in my hips, at the same time my back was hurting and I was getting my period, that really brought home who I was as a person. And it made me realize I wasn't as brave as I thought I was, but at least I knew who I was. And that's a gift that nobody can really take away from you. You really get to find out who you are in situations like that. And the fact that I like fought so hard, like in my own way, but I fought so hard to get back to normal. And I worked with my body rather than against her. I said, look, how are you feeling today? What do you need? Like, instead of taking the painkillers, I was like, what do you need right now? Instead of taking the muscle relaxants, I'm like, what do you need right now? How are we going to do this together? Figured out little tricks here and there until I got back to normal. It's only when you're in an extreme situation, like, there was a friend that really should have learned to shut his mouth. I don't know why he kept fucking talking, but it was only in the hostel when I had toothache that I realized I missed him, and I was hurt that he wasn't here for me. He's here when I'm crying, when it has something that's nothing to do with him, but when it had, when the time comes for him to make amends and for him to make things right, he doesn't want to do it, and that broke my heart. And I was crying out for my parents as well, which made me realize that I loved my parents. In spite of everything that they'd done, and especially what my mother had done, I love my parents. Probably don't deserve it, but it is what it is. But it made me realize I love my parents. It's only when you go through extreme situations that it really brings home who you are. And this situation with, me being called the N-word over and over again, I'd hurt my own feelings with that word inside my head for so long, because the first time I'd ever been called that was online, and it was during like a fun little chat, but somebody just wanted to call me an N-word for no reason, just to get a reaction out of me. But because it wasn't to my face, I internalized it, and I internalized it for so long because I spent so long listening to black people talking about, "Now don't call me no N-word, this, that, and the third." And I'm like, at the time, I felt two emotions. The first emotion I felt was that I wasn't black enough for not being offended enough. The second emotion I was feeling was like, what the fuck is the problem? Like, why are you trying to make something out of this? Like, why are you making anything out of it? So it's like I was split between two emotions. Going through this situation made me realize that it's a stupid word. I'm sorry, it is. It made me realize it's a stupid word. What matters is the trauma attached to it. That's what matters most. Which is why I will never tell a black person, if you don't want to hear it, that there's something wrong with them. Or if they don't want to say it, that there's something wrong with them. Like, that's not fair. It's not fair. But for me, I actually like being black. And it took this situation for me to realize that. I like being black. I like being a black woman. I think it comes with a lot of advantages. I mean, sure, it might not get me as far up the wealth ladder, but what the fuck does that even mean? Like, it might not get me as far up the wealth ladder as a white guy, but what does it mean anyway? What does it mean? Who gives a shit? Like, it took this situation to make me realize I like being who I am. I like being black. I even like being neurodivergent to a certain extent. I like the imagination that I get from it. I like the fact that because I've spoken to myself for so long, I'm articulate as fuck and you can't tell me nothing. I love the fact that, me being queer and everything, it gives me a unique understanding into how the genders work. I love the fact that being a woman makes me self-aware, makes me aware of how hormones work and how hormones affect people. I don't like myself necessarily, but I like the attributes that I have. Liking myself is one thing, but liking the attributes attached to me is a whole other thing entirely. And it made me realize that my problem was never that I wanted to be white. It's just that I never thought I was black enough because people treated me like I wasn't black enough. That's why I liked hanging out with my white friends, because they reminded me I was black. They reminded me I was black. They reminded me that I was a black woman. That they reminded me of where I came from. But when I was around black friends or black women, I never felt black enough. I couldn't cook well enough. I couldn't dance well enough. I wasn't, my hair wasn't right enough, like all that type of shit. Like, I always felt less black around other black women. But around white women, I'm black as fuck. I'm black as fuck. Like, cool as fuck. Black as fuck around my white friends. And it took this situation to make me realize that. I love being a black woman. I love being a Negro. I love it. I love it. I do love it. If there's one thing that I don't like about myself, that is not it. That is not it. And it took me 36 years and enough racial abuse just to figure that out. If there is one thing I don't like about myself, it ain't got shit to do with my race, bro. Not a damn thing to do with my race. I'm sorry, I love it. I love my skin. I love my culture. The only reason I appeared to turn away from it for so long was because I felt like it didn't belong to me and I didn't belong to it. But I do. And I was reminded of that. And I love it. I love who I am. I love who I am. I really, really do. Yeah, I'm just gonna give fucking wait until this. They're going upstairs. Yeah. All right. So no, but I love being who I am. I love it so much. And it's just, it took this situation to make me realize I don't like myself, but it's not because I'm black. It's not because I'm female. It's not because of anything physical. It's not because of anything external. It's not even because of my personality. It's just that there's a fundamental insecurity, a fundamental feeling of not being enough that I need to address. But it takes me 36 years and really extreme emotional responses to help me realize. Yeah. It took this long to help me realize, like, if you don't like me, you don't like me. It's cool. It's cool not to like me, but you don't treat people that way because of what their skin color is, or where they come from, or what their mental health is like. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. And the thing is that the damage that has been done because of this one, like, short little weekend. No, I got to get out of here, and people have to be made accountable for what's happened. They have to be made accountable. They can't get out of it. Yeah. But no, I love being black, man. It's this the shizzle. I love it. I absolutely love it. But this is what I'm talking about when I say I second guess myself all the time, and like all the second guessing and shit, like overthinking and being very sensitive, and I'm a war god. That's what I was named after. I was named after a war god. But the greatest war god knows that not everything is a fight. Yeah. I love being black, and honestly, the thought of getting out of here, I'm absolutely happy with. But the truth of the matter is, is that whether I leave or stay, I'm in control of this anyway. What's going on now? Okay. So anyway, basically, I love being me. And regardless of whether I stay or not, I know I'm in control of the situation, regardless of whether or not I stay. But I do have to go. Listen to that. Oh, God. Jeez. Oof. All right. Damn, I don't. Oof. Damn, I don't understand. Wow, I got to get the fuck up out of here. Jeez. Wow. Whew. Oh, absolutely not. Nah. No, we can't do that. Jeez. But yeah. No. I definitely have to leave. I can't take a day off. I've got to do as much research as I can. Got to get all my evidence together. Got to get everything together and just peace out. Cause nah, bro. Nah. Anyway, I love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Anyway.